Greetings, this is Paul, your Pacific Northwest trail guide. I want to help you pick your next trail to explore, so let's check this one out. The Indian Heaven Wilderness Area is a high-altitude plateau that presents an interesting setting. This hike is a good little introduction to the place. There's much more to explore if you enjoy this one, though. You'll visit some of the placid lakes that crowd the area and stroll through the subalpine meadows surrounded by gnarled old fir trees that characterize this place. You'll cover about 7 miles on this in-and-out hike and do about 1,000 feet of climbing. Bring along your Northwest Forest Pass or get a day pass to park at the Thomas Lake Trailhead. This route is also home to abundant natural resources, so keep in mind you can pick huckleberries in late summer or early fall, and many of the lakes you pass by are stocked for fishing too. You'll start this hike from the Thomas Lake Trailhead. Coming from the Columbia River Gorge area, you can turn north from Washington Highway 14 towards Carson and continue through the town on the Wind River Highway. At about 13.5 miles out of town, the highway turns right and turns into Forest Road 30, and you travel another 14 miles to Forest Road 6507, where you turn right. This road is gravel but in good shape and takes you 4.5 miles to a T-junction with Forest Road 65, where you turn left and arrive at the trailhead soon after. You can take another route in where you travel most of the way on Forest Road 65, but this tends to be slower as you spend more miles on a less developed forest road. The Thomas Lake Trailhead can be pretty busy, as this is a popular area, especially in the fall, as the bugs have died down and the colors are coming in. Find the trailhead on the north side of the lot, and you begin a gradual climb up to Thomas Lake. The first section of this route takes us by Thomas Lake and many others. We also get most of the climbing out of the way, passing by some brief viewpoints before reaching the four-way junction near Rock Lake. This wilderness area was named Indian Heaven Wilderness, based on a distorted translation of a name for the area in the native Chinook language. People from several native tribes of the Columbia River area would gather in large numbers in this area in the late summer for recreation, trade, and the huckleberry harvest. When you arrive at Thomas Lake, you'll find yourself surrounded by it and the smaller Dee and Heather lakes. As you keep going past Heather Lake and the trail to the campsites on Thomas Lake, you approach a junction where we turn right. Continuing straight would lead to a dead end at Eunice Lake. From here, the trail begins a more steep climb, but only for a short while. Now upon the ridge above Eunice Lake, watch for a short spur on the left. You can walk out to a dramatic view of Mount St. Helens above the lake here. After passing through a marshy meadow, you continue to climb again, and you may glimpse Mount Adams off to the northeast in this area. Soon the dense forest is left behind, and you emerge into this muddy, marshy meadow of interconnected creeks, ponds, and stout trees of fine character. When you reach the four-way junction with several signs, turn right to take the most direct route towards Blue Lake. The next section of this hike will take us through a sort of alien-looking landscape of stunted trees, marshy grasses, and small ponds until we again return to a dense forest and descend down to Blue Lake. The trail tends to be full of water and mud through this stretch, and you find yourself bouncing off and on the trail to avoid it. It's a ruggedly beautiful landscape despite the mud, though. When you reach the sign junction with the old Cascade Crest Trail after Lake Umtux, you'll turn off to the right. You'll then begin descending under a forest canopy and soon see the bright blue waters of Blue Lake peeking out between the trees. As you round the lake, you'll approach a junction with the Pacific Crest Trail and turn right on it to continue around the lake. If you pass the junction with the Tombstone Lake Trail and keep to the right, you can find a nice day use area to enjoy Blue Lake for a little bit. Before you head back, you can take a very short diversion down to Tombstone Lake. Just pick up the Tombstone Lake Trail you passed earlier. It takes you by a pond and downhill a bit to Tombstone Lake. When you reach the lake, you can see the tombstone-like slab far on the other side of the lake. Completist explorers can follow the trail around to the backside of the lake to campsite 16 and a close-up view of the tombstone. After visiting Tombstone Lake, you can retrace your path back to Blue Lake and return the way you came around it to make your return trip. When you reach the junction with the old Cascade Crest Trail, you can go back the same way you came, or you might take an alternate way back following the old Cascade Crest Trail for a bit. I found this way to be less muddy, but the junction you need to turn left on to get back is not signed, so you'll want to be careful not to miss it. This way also leads you by Rock Lake, which is nice, but you might want to walk around it if you don't want to get wet, as the trail goes right through a shallow part of it. Either way you choose to return, you arrive at the familiar four-way junction and continue off west where you came in from. As you make your way back, you might think about the abundant lakeside campsites around here and plan for a return trip for a camping hike. With camping so close to the trailhead, who knows, you might even consider bringing some luxuries you wouldn't normally bring. If you do, just be careful to avoid the intense bug season up here. Now let's do the trail ratings. There aren't any special features to traverse on this trail. You'll just be dealing with your typical rocks and roots, and probably a fair amount of mud, so it rates 2 rocks for terrain. Consider the elevation and exposure for this hike when it comes to elements. 3 clouds there. 7 miles is a pretty middle of the road, coming in at 3 boots for length. And the climb on this hike is mostly gradual and doesn't amount to a whole lot. 2 mountains out of 5 for climb rating. That's all for this edition of Pacific Northwest Trail Guide. I hope I have or will soon help you pick your next trail to explore. I scouted this trail on October of 2021, but trails are always evolving. If you pick this trail and encounter any changes people might like to know about, please help out your fellow explorers by sharing in the comments on this video. I've shown some of the beautiful sights of this trail in what feeble capacity video can render. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but an experience with all of your senses cannot even be conveyed in pictures or video. So don't take my word for it. Get out there and see it for yourself.